Okay, in the last video, I discussed quite a few things. Like, to begin, I've identified my soul purpose, and I want to tell you how that happened. And in describing the process that led to it, they can hopefully help me teach others how to get to there as well. Okay? Okay. So, it's important that I start with putting my protections up, because no matter what, it's important to have your psychic self-defense in order, your understanding of it conceptually within space and time, and to actively, outwardly intend it to happen. Okay? So, number one, I want to start with my 12D shield is what I call it. It's the idea of connecting with the God source and his genetic partner, which is the Sophia Christ consciousness, and the Christ consciousness is what I call them. I believe words are very important, and everyone should identify the name and what to call them for themselves. Now, for me, that resonates deeply, not to mention within the concept of our three-dimensional matrix and our spirit's existence and the enormity of our existence. Sound tone is very important. Okay, so saying Sophia is actually choosing very specific tones to resonate certain thoughts in others. That's important to say. So, okay, start with the 12D shield. I begin with in my mind's eye. Each one of my chakras, I move down, picture them. I then send my Merkabic shape that I keep as my representation of who I am. My soul, my deep spirit, I view it as a Merkaba, which is the shape, as you know, is in a three-dimensional realm, is two tetrahedrons on top of each other. I'll have my computer up soon and I could show images because it's very important for me to have a screen sharing. Anyway, okay, so you move from the pineal, third eye kind of idea, and then you move it down through each chakra. You picture each and every level that you're walking through. Then you send it to the center of the earth, and then you bring it back up, and it's all connected through a single silver cord that you exist through. And as you bring it back up into each one of your chakras, and personally, I have started, since I spoke with you guys, I discovered, understood, and have been developing my chakra system, my etheric chakra system, okay? There is a chakra beyond your typical 7. The 8, which is at your feet, the 9 back of your neck, the 10 about 12 inches above your head, and then your 11th, and then your 12th, which is 4 feet above your head, okay? And this is your auric field. So I walk through each one of those, and you send it all the way, that Merkabic shape, all the way to the center of the universe, right? So when you send it to the center of the universe, you're connecting with the God source. But then, when you did the earth, you're connecting with the Sophia, the reflection partner, the genetic equal. So you as a taught form, you have now taught with your silver cord that holds you straight up and confident and with all intent, consent, and authority. You have now gone into this commitment to source. You now have realized that you need to express your commitment to source. So now that you are in your mind's eye, you're in a meditation, you bring it back to each one of your 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. You bring it through those, you get back to the crown, and now you're at your pineal. So then you create you are now encoded in a crystal matrix. So you're safe, and it's a protection mechanism. This specifically, I need to keep going over it because I need to try to promote you guys to do it every day. Because for me, it has developed this ability to participate in my ascension. Instead of just being there for it, I'm participating in it. and it's very empowering. So once you get back, you then picture however it is that you perceive to protect yourself on like a metaphysical realm in a way. So everyone has their way of protecting from unseen thought forms, unseen, I call them the egregores, that I mentioned last time. You know, the entities or just parts of the collective consciousness or your individual consciousness that have turned into, to kind of manifest their own kind of sentience. Sounds, I know. Anyway, so you have to be able to protect yourself in these ways, right? You have to be able to stop yourself. You have to be able to stop yourself when you're having a negative thought, right? You have to stop yourself from it devolving. Your emotional state can devolve you from your thought, thinking with your heart or thinking with your mind because of some sort of unseen implication. Anyway, so I'm going to run through this with my shields up. I project my white light through all my time, all my space, my physical space here in particular. And I will tell you, now let me tell you about the discovering my soul purpose, because trippy, let me tell you. So as I identified the different chakras, the etheric chakras, I started moving into like in your mind's eye, you start developing, you start like seeing these little filaments, little furs coming off your chakras. And it's like you realize that you have to connect them with something because you need to build and progress, right? That's the concept with anything, is you're building and progressing something. And after mentioning July in particular, how intense it was physically. Physically, there was some major endocrine reactions of my body. So, through that, I now have realized that I've opened my 8th, 9th, and 10th chakra. That was all at once. It was a dramatic, violent affair for me, for not everyone. I think it's important. I was speaking with the unlikely channeler, and she made a great point that it doesn't have to be for everyone, and she's right. And that's my role. I know it. It's been part of me since I can remember. And it's ultimately going to be to kind of set genetic path cutter. The idea is that you've set off the evolution, the human evolution, a little bit faster than everyone else, because your role is to then help. You are an instrumental key in making sure that the earth itself can go through this evolution process. Now, oh man, it's intense. A lot of these concepts I will return to because they really add up, and I know they're confusing, and I know it's taken so long for me to get this out that I have to get as much as I can. And then I will continue. I need to come back and explain. So, yeah. So, I opened them dramatically, and then I'm working them every single day, multiple times a day, because I've been in a lot of pain. I've been very sick for 2 years. And once you can see the pattern, you see exactly what's been going on. But it's been undiagnosable, except for a few things. But in general, it's been like just ridiculous. I was in my early 30s by the time when this all kicked in. And now in my mid 30s, it's like very clear. Anyway, point is, working the different chakras, and I got to this point where I was now working my 9th and 10th, which are fluidic partners. Interesting that it would lead me to the Heros Gamos, which means your fluidic partner, right? And your in progression through developing internal divine masculine and divine feminine. Okay, those are divine personality parts of ourselves. Okay. Now I keep my divine masculine in my left pocket, my divine feminine in my right pocket. This has amethyst and pearl. And this one has lapis lazuli and hematite, okay? Now, within those, you start to picture in your mind's eye the Harris Gamos, so the growing of these two genetic equals into one. So I started identifying and picturing my brain coming together, two sides of my brain, like getting little filaments being like interacting, and I noticed that as time was going on, it was hurting. There was pain or sensation in different parts of my brain, and it progressed. And then 2 days ago, on the 24th, 8/24, I had moved it up to the point where it was the front of towards the front of my head, and suddenly I was seeing differently. Behind your eyes, when your eyes are closed, you can picture different things, right? Okay, yeah, of course you know that. But I had moved to a point where I was now seeing energies that I could call out. And so within my shield, within my mental exercises, I learned to intent, consent, and authority. These are three concepts that are so deeply important to our energetic power that we have to really delve into it. So with intent and authority, I said, hey, who are you? What are you doing in my ether, my astral realm? Like, I don't just let any old person kind of hang out here. So as I focused, I suddenly, instead of trying to squint with my eyes, I started squinting with my third eye. Yeah, right. So I started looking really hard, and there he was. There's this, I have so much to say that it's hard to, he was a blue dude, so fitting in the line of other downloads and the leading to this point. And I, commanded, I commanded that he identify himself. So what is his name? Like, who is he? So he said he was Vi. Now, important to note, the unlikely channeler helped me identify my guides quite a while ago, about 4 years at least ago. And we did a QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis therapy. And through that, she took me into a theta state and identified my guides, okay? They kind of presented themselves. But there was one that wouldn't, with all his stubbornness, say who he is, wouldn't give his vibrational name. So, since then, for a long time, I've been trying to learn how to communicate with them, and nothing, not even a little bit. I just knew that they existed. I knew their power and importance to my spiritual ascension. And so I just continued the mental exercises. So now I got to this point where Vi, a blue dude, shows up, says, hey, or he doesn't say anything. You have to push the conversation yourself. You have to do it. You have to take control of the situation and realize that nothing has power over you. You are a sovereign, free person. Identity. You have self-preservation and self-determination. You have self-determination at all times. And yeah. So anyway, I say, so why are you here? He's like, well, he wants to finally talk. I'm reading some notes. He wanted to take me somewhere. And I've set protocols up where if ever I were to be contacted by anything or anyone, you can't just take me away. You can't just come in. You have to be given permission. You have to be approached, and there has to be transparency and respect, mutual respect in our spirits communicating. So I said, okay, I'm cool with you showing me what's up. So first of all, his name is Vi, his vibrational signature. See, ultimately, it's all vibration, right? vibrational signature of Vi, V-I, I with a elongated, you know what I mean, in, anyway, so this, okay, I need to reference this because there's so many parts of it that I have to make sure it's in linear order enough to follow. So when, okay. So we actually, in a mind's eye, I would say a consciousness kind of adventure, into space, I guess you could say, but it's not like, it wasn't like a traveling through space kind of idea. It was kind of like instant there. So, you know, quantum entanglement sort of idea, which consciousness, ultimately, that's exactly its nature. It started off, okay, I need to just close my eyes and tell you. So I asked why was he here? He took me to that location. So I realized that we're inside of there was this hot plasma everywhere. I was just surrounded by, like a sun. It was a sun. It was the sun of Sirius B in particular. Now, again, part of clair senses that I brought up before, beyond the five senses, there are the clair senses. The clair senses, for example, clairaudience, clairsentience, clair empathy. There are different intuitive and knowingness ways of the clair senses, where suddenly you know truths without being said them or shown them. So I knew I was in Sirius B with my little blue dude. And he, first of all, I'm like, why am I here? And he said, you are in the process of taking in some major plasma energy, because, I won't say why yet, because that's an important next step. Taking important plasma energy. So I felt it, it was warm, it was weightless. I felt I am in pain all the time. Terrible, terrible, awful, constant pain. But I was in a state of complete fluidic freedom. Now, also, then I was like, okay, so what other role do you have for me? What do I need to be doing out there during this process? And he said, well, I need to show you something. So in the conscious observer, the observer principle of the ascension is you can step back, watch things without an emotional connection. You are the compassionate observer, okay? Like in tarot, the strength card, or the compassionate observer. It's your role. You have to stay neutral in order to see truths. Okay, so he wanted me to witness. I looked over a large valley, and it was beautiful, I guess. So of course it was beautiful, but it was very traditional. It's nothing I hadn't seen before. And I don't know if that was because literally that's the way it was, or because that's what needs to be shown. So it was an egalitarian kind of society, which is the idea that you can grow your own food, you live in your local community, you all exist symbiotically, okay? And yeah. So it was that kind of small little community, in a large valley, and blue, purple mountains in the distance. Just perfect, pristine. And then he told me he had to show me something.